I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons, my Bibliosprand, Bibliohowlers, and Bibliomancers. Thank you so much for supporting my hobby and passion even more. It means so much to me. Hi everyone, Patek here. Today's video will be SFF Spotlight episode 10. Yes, episode 10 already. So SFF Spotlight, if you're new to this video, it's a series of videos where I talk about new book news, new noteworthy release, and also new cover reveals in the adult fantasy and sci-fi genre within a specific period of time, usually about 2 weeks. And today we have about 30 topics to talk about. Yes, that's a lot of topics as usual. So I will just talk about the first one immediately. And the first one is probably the biggest news here, at least for me, one of the biggest news, and that is the confirmation of the delay of the Stormlight Archive Book 5 by Brandon Sanderson. Well, by Brandon Sanderson himself. So yes, Stormlight Archive Book 5 currently is slated to be released on fall 2024. But personally speaking, if this actually get delayed to 2025, I won't be surprised because Brandon Sanderson is seriously busy. I mean, he has always been busy. On top of his writing, he has always been involved in so many projects, but right now, the number of projects that we know he's involved is insane. It is insanely many, and this doesn't even count, let's say, if he's writing even more secret novels. So yeah, for now, Sanderson mentioned that Stormlight Archive Book 5 will be released in fall 2024. Personally, I think this is great news as long as he takes his time to make sure that this book, the final book in Stormlight Archive Part 1, yes, the first 5 novels, is done right. To Sanderson, I would say, take as many time as you need. Seriously, I just want the book to be as amazing as possible because after this, we won't be getting any book in the Stormlight Archive for maybe 5 years. Yeah, quite likely 5 or 6 years. And that is a very long time. And this is what Brandon Sanderson has to say regarding the delay. I know that 4 years is a long time to wait for a novel, and it's been my goal in the past to keep that to 3 years. My intention is that once this is done, we will have another longer than normal gap as I turn my attention to Mistborn Era 3 and hopefully the Elantra sequels before diving back into do back 5 Stormlight books. From there, I'm hoping to return to a 3-year gap between books until we push on to the ending at book 10. A long journey, I know, but you will almost certainly have television and filler projects in the interim to keep you occupied alongside the other things I do. And I continue to feel that Stormlight works best in ultra long form novels, rather than the far more profitable option my publisher would prefer of one shorter 100,000 word Stormlight book every year. The experience of the thick book full of interconnected plotlines and smaller interlude flourishes is part of what makes the artistic vision work for these volumes. As always, thank you for your patience. My job is to make sure it's all worth the wait, and I am striving each day to show respect for the trust you've put in me. Next update should come around the end of the year, where I will let you know how my November or December went. With luck, I will have managed another 7,000 or so across the 2 months, and land us at around 130,000 words, which might be the end of the first sequence. So that's just a few paragraphs regarding Brandon Sanderson's announcement for Stormlight Archive Book 5 delay. Sanderson seems very confident though that there will be television and movie stuff in between, so we will get more news regarding that in 2023. But anyway, I will leave the link to the details in the description down below. And also, the next news is kinda related to what Sanderson has to say here. So I just mentioned that Sanderson is very busy, right? And well, there is one news regarding what he did, and that is a video game. So Sanderson also recently announced that he has worked on a video game. Now, this isn't something like Elden Ring that George R. Martin worked on, but this one is called Moonbreakers. Namely, Brandon Sanderson's work on Moonbreaker's world and universe, the various cultures players encounter, specific characters, and several captain stories. This includes, for example, work on 3 primary cultures currently in the game: the Metadori, the Cholek, and the Smugglers. The latter is pretty self-explanatory, but the Cholek are a natural spiritual race with a lot of greens and blues in its design, and the Metadori are essentially space romance. I have actually taken a look at the video game, and I think Sanderson's talent is kind of a bit wasted, sorry to say, a bit wasted on this video game, and I am hoping that From Software collaboration with Brandon Sanderson in the future one day will be well, better than this one. I think it will be more suitable to Brandon Sanderson's world building prowess and skill. And also, speaking of adaptation, Robin Hobb and also Dark Horse Comics just announced that they will be doing a graphic novel adaptation for Assassin's Apprentice. Yes, The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. This is one of my favorite series of all time. And look at the cover art. Look at young Fitz. It makes me so happy seeing that there will be a graphic novel adaptation for The Realm of the Elderlings. And then the next news is about an online convention. Fantasy Fellowship is hosting a Fantasy Fellowship Con. This is an online weekend convention featuring an incredible lineup of authors and interactive workshops. Fantasy Fellowship Con is a 2-day online event hosted by the Fantasy Fellowship Discord Book Club. And there are so many authors involved in this one, including Anthony Ryan, Peter V. Brett, Robin Hobb, and so many more. Plus, some percentage in the profits of the ticket sales will go to charities. So yeah, that's a plus situation. I will leave the link to the details in the description down below. And then the next news isn't actually book related. Well, it is book related now, but anyway, the super amazing animated show in the League of Legends universe just won the Emmy Award for Best Animated Shows. This is a first in the history of Emmys, and I think it is super well deserved because Arcane is absolutely amazing, and I've watched this TV show twice, and I think I will watch it again when the next season comes out. Seriously, incredible. And speaking of TV show adaptation, the next news is regarding House of the Dragons, and I think many of you know about this already, but House of the Dragon has been renewed for season 2 after just the first episode. Yes, I did a review of the first episode and I just watched episode 3, which I think is great as well. It's not my personal favorite of the series so far, but I think the entire show so far has been feeling like a return to the Game of Thrones glory days, and I loved it. I am loving my time with the series, and I'm really glad that the second season has been announced, and I hope that there will be more. The next news is about the Hugo Awards. The winner have been announced, and one thing to note is that A Desolation Cold Piece by Arkady Martin. This is the sequel to A Memory Called Empire, which I've read and enjoyed, but somehow, even to this day, I still haven't read A Desolation Cold Piece, but A Desolation Cold Piece just won the best novel. I really have to get to this one. But regarding the Hugo Award, I am really kind of disappointed, I guess, that the Greenbone Saga didn't win the best series. I think this one is robbed. I think it should have won the award for the best series, but you know what? Well, it is not my award, and it is not up to me to decide who wins. And before we move on to news about cover reveals in traditionally published fantasy, let's talk about a new acquisition by Orbit Books for a duology. This one is for Phantom Folk by Eliza Chan, a duology by Orbit Books. Orbit has landed 2 books in the fantasy series inspired by East Asian mythology and folktales by debut author Eliza Chan. In the duology, revolution is brewing in the semi-submerged city of Tiankawi between humans and the Phantom Folk, like sirens, sea witches, kelpies, and kappas. I love East Asian mythology, and I will look forward to the release of this one, even though this one is still quite a while. This one is being released in 2024. But anyway, I think this is a great acquisition from Orbit Books. At least I hope so. And now let's talk about cover reveals. And the first one that I would like to talk about is about Naomi Novik's Temeraire series. So the last 3 books in the series just received a brand new cover art by Rowena Kai, and I think they look absolutely beautiful. This is for the book Crucible of Golds, Blood of Tyrants, and finally for the last book in the series, League of Dragons. And the artist Rowena Kai has actually done a brand new cover art for each book in the series for its paperback edition. And I think, considering how much I love Spinning Silver, I think I will end up getting this edition someday. Yes, I think they all look too good and the spines actually aligned. So well done to Del Rey and also Rowena Kai for this. And the next cover reveal is for The Surviving Sky by Kritika H. Rao. And this one, the cover art is done by Leo Nichols. Considering that this is a Hindu-inspired debut and how much I've been enjoying South Asian-inspired fantasy lately, I will definitely keep an eye out for this one. And the next 2 cover reveals, both of them are for foreign cover arts, but I really want to show this one because they all look so good. And the first one is for Bloodsong. Yes, this is the new French edition for Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And the new cover art is done by Mikhail Burgoyne. I think this cover art looks amazing. They are some of the best cover art for Bloodsong so far, and believe me, excluding the US and UK edition, actually have a lot of great cover arts already. And this one is one of the best. This is for part 1 and part 2 of Bloodsong. And the next foreign cover art that I want to show is again another one from one of my favorite series of all time, and it is for The Crippled God by Steven Erikson. This is the 10th book in Malazan Book of the Fallen, and the new cover art for the French edition is done by Marc Simonetti, one of my favorite artists of all time. And for those of you who have read The Crippled God, I think you will know what scene this cover art is from, and I think it is epic. It's so fitting to be the cover art for The Crippled God. Once again, well done, Marc Simonetti, and I wish this kind of cover art will be the one that exists in the standard US and UK edition, but well, it's not. And moving on to special editions, in today's episode I will talk about 3 new special editions being announced, and the first one is Curious King's next project after the First Law and also the Broken Earth Trilogy. So Curious King just announced that their next title will be Hyperion Cantos by Dan Simmons. And this is what they have to say regarding this announcement. We will be beginning our production with a limited edition of this very novel, and illustrating is the phenomenal Jamie Jones. Jamie Jones is only confirmed for the first book currently, and we will review each year for each book. He has, however, committed to 8 color plates and 20 black and white sketches for Hyperion, and I'm particularly excited about that. That's what Anthony, the owner of Curious King, said regarding this announcement, just a few paragraphs. And I think the artists that Curious Kings have employed so far, Tommy Arnold for the First Law, and then John Anthony Di Giovanni for the Broken Earth Trilogy, and now Jamie Jones for, well, Hyperion. Well, they are all some of my favorite artists of all time, and I think it's amazing. It's seriously amazing, and I look forward, I don't know whether I can actually acquire this or not, but I look forward to all of them. I look forward to seeing all of them in production and in publication. And the next special edition I want to talk about is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, Folio Society edition. Yes, Folio Society has announced that they will be releasing their own edition of Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, and I think this one looks absolutely beautiful and stunning. The edition will feature 9 full-color illustrations by Chris Malbon, 21 color chapter openers, and it will have an introduction by Susanna Clark. The edition will be priced at £85, and I think if you're a fan of Neverwhere, I think you should try your best to get this one, because yes, this one in my opinion looks super beautiful. I've read and enjoyed Neverwhere, but I'm not sure whether I will get this one yet. I don't think I love it that much to get in the special edition, but if you're a huge fan, I think this one is worth it. Folio Society, never miss. And the next news is again for a special edition, and this is for the Licanius Trilogy by James Islington, the Broken Binding edition. Now you all probably know already that the Licanius Trilogy by James Islington is one of my favorite trilogies of all time, and I am very pleased that the Broken Binding will be doing a special edition for the Licanius Trilogy, and I think it looks super beautiful. This edition will be signed and numbered to 1,500 copies, and it will also come with a Broken Binding exclusive bookmark and many more. So yeah, I am definitely looking forward to receiving this edition. The next news isn't particularly a special edition, but this one is from Subterranean Press, and they just announced, well, they just revealed the new cover reveal, To Knot of Shadows by Louis McMaster Bujold. This is another novella in Penric and Desdemona in the world of 5 gods, and the cover art is done by Lauren Saint Onge. I haven't read anything by Louis McMaster Bujold yet, but I've heard so many amazing things about her books, and eventually I know I will definitely get to reading her books eventually. And now moving on to the topic of self-published fantasy books, and the first one that I want to talk about is quite a big one in self-published fantasy, and that is the cover reveal to Waybound by Will Wight. Yes, Waybound is the final book in Cradle series. This is the end. This is the end of Cradle, and now we have the cover art, and I think it looks nice. I don't know what this will mean to the story, but I am excited. I am excited to be reading about Cradle. There is no release date for this one yet, but I think, well, I hope that this one will bring an amazing conclusion to cradle. And then the next cover reveal is for the first expanded novel, the first expanded universe in Arcane Ascension by Andrew Rowe. And this one, the cover art is done by Asur Misowa and the book is written by Kaylee Nicole. Note that this one is not written solely by Andrew Rowe because this is the first expanded novel in the Arcane Ascension universe, and I think it's so cool. And I hope it will be as good as Sufficiently Advanced Magic, the first book in Arcane Ascension. And the next news is about the second book in the Illborn saga by Daniel T. Jackson. So I Dual Sin, the second book, is currently, I think, clocked in as 200,000 words, and as it is fully written already, and the release date is 28th of January 2023, so next year, just about 3 months from now. Yes, about 3 months from now, this book will be released. And considering that Illborn is one of my favorite books of the year so far, I am so looking forward to reading the sequel. And going back to the topic of cover reveal, well, this is the cover reveal to the Obsidian Path Omnibus by Michael R. Fletcher. I've read only the first book and I loved it very much, but somehow I still haven't read the second and third book, but the entire series, the entire trilogy is completed already, and this is the cover art for the completed Omnibus edition, which will be released in October 3rd, 2022. So yeah, not long from now. The cover art looks amazing though. I really love what Felix Ortiz did with the cover art here. And speaking of gorgeous cover art, the 11th cycle by Kian Ardalan, the cover art has been revealed, and I think this one looks amazing. Plus this one apparently is a Dark Souls inspired novel. It is a heavily Dark Souls and Bloodborne inspired novel, and I am a very, very huge fan of these games, and I hope that this fantasy book taking inspirations from these games will be amazing. And the next cover reveal is for another one with the cover design by Sean King, and this is for A Gamble of Gods by Mitriel Feywood. I did the full cover reveal for A Gamble of Gods on my blog, Novel Notions, and the cover art for this one is done by Kara. And A Gamble of Gods is supposedly a science fantasy debut novel. It has a review from Mark Lawrence, and it is called Mission Impossible for Fantasy Readers. And I won't deny that I am definitely interested in checking this one out after hearing that praise. And the last self-published fantasy news is for the fourth book in Ethereal Earth Saga by Josh Erikson. This is an urban fantasy novel. I've read the first 3 books in Ethereal Earth and I've enjoyed all of them. I think Josh Erikson is an author that keeps getting better and better with each book, and I am undoubtedly looking forward to reading the 4th book in the series. I think Ethereal Earth by Josh Erikson is one of the most engaging and one of the most underrated urban fantasy series out there. When people tell me how much they love Dresden Files, and I love Dresden Files as well, I think they should check out Ethereal Earth. I think they will have a great time reading this one, and I am hoping that the 4th book, Downrace, will be as good as the first 3 books, or maybe even better than the 3rd book. And now let's move on to the final section of SFF Spotlight, and that is new noteworthy release. And the first one is for Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless. This is an Irish-inspired historical fantasy debut novel, and so far I've been hearing only great things about this one. I own an advanced reading copy of Children of Gods and Fighting Men for months now, but unfortunately, as well, you all probably know already, that I have a lot of review requests and I still haven't got the chance to actually get to this one. But so far, from the reviews and the ratings that I've seen, I think this is one debut you should check out if you love books like Lost Kingdom, or maybe you love Irish-inspired historical fantasy novel. Another noteworthy release to mention, Nona the Night by Tamsyn Muir, is now out. This is the 3rd book in the Locked Tomb series, and this series has a lot of die-hard fans, and if you're one of them, well, this is your chance to finally read the next book in the Locked Tomb series after Harrow the Night. And moving on to the next one, let's talk about Ruination by Anthony Reynolds. This is a League of Legends novel, the first League of Legends novel, and I am still waiting for my copy of Ruination. I hope that it will arrive this month, and I think I will be reading this one very soon, either this month or next month. But anyway, this is again the first novel in the League of Legends universe. But again, I love Arcane so much, and I am so looking forward to reading Ruination. Plus, the reversible dust jacket by Valentina Remenar looks absolutely beautiful, and I cannot wait to see it in person. And the next noteworthy release I would like to mention is for Dragons and Demons by Kade. This is the long-awaited book in the King's Dark Tidings series, a very popular and highly praised self-published fantasy series that I still haven't read. But then again, I've mentioned Dragons and Demons and also King's Dark Tidings in general on my channel on SFF Spotlight a few times now, and I hope that for those of you who are waiting for this book, you will know that this book is out now, and I hope that you will love it. I don't think I will be reading this one anytime soon, but I'm keeping their series on my TBR pile. And the next noteworthy release is for a book that has been gaining so many hype, understandably, and this is for Fairy Tale by Stephen King. If you're a fan of Stephen King's books, and if you're a fan of fantasy novel, Fairy Tale by him is out now, and I think you should check it out. This one has been gaining plenty of great reviews so far. And I don't know when I will check out Fairy Tale by Stephen King, but considering how many people are enjoying this one, I think, well, eventually I will get to Fairy Tale as well. And finally, the last noteworthy release and the last topic I would like to talk about on SFF Spotlight is for Mother of Learning Arc 3 with Part 1 by Nobody 103 or Domagoj Kurmaik. So Mother of Learning is one of the most popular and highly praised web novel published in the West that I know, and I still haven't read, but I actually pre-ordered a copy of the hardcover edition of Mother of Learning Part 1 already, and I look forward to reading this series, quite likely the entire series by next year. So yeah, you will definitely hear me talking about this series someday in the future. But the cover art, once again, is done by Yum, and yeah, this book is out now. So yeah, that's it for me today. That's the end of SFF Spotlight episode 10. As always, let me know which news excites you the most. And as always, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.